Hello everybody. Here it presents some tips for communication to TI-E2E forums. It might happen in cases when you face some issues in your system, you want to talk to TI on E2E forums. But due to many factors, for example, text-only communication channel, time zone difference, or complexity of the issue, the communication could be frustrated or inefficient. So in this video, I show some do's and don'ts to improve the efficiency in the communication to TI-E2E forums. In the initial issue report, please specify the following information if applicable. Is it on TI EVM or customer board? If the issue seems to be hardware related, does it fail on multiple boards? Does it use Linux? If so, what is the SDK version or kernel version? Or does it use a mainline kernel? Attach the dmessage log showing the boot process, not the console boot log. Dmessage log has more information than the default console log. Attach the kernel config file. You can get it at /prog/config.gz from a running system. Attach kernel code changes, if any. And of course, please describe the specific problem and the procedure to trigger it. Very often, people like to describe an issue as it doesn't work, without much additional information. But we all know this kind of description doesn't help the listener who tries to help you to understand the problem. Let's look at this example captured from a TI-E2E forum. The only information we can get from the post is the hub MBF-H04 does not operate normally, nothing else. So we can't really understand what the problem is. To be fair, this post does mention the kernel version is 3.14.26 with a commit ID. After a lookup, I can tell the kernel is in Citara AM SDK 8.0. So please be informative in the issue description. Doesn't work, doesn't bring any value. Better to explain what was expected, what happened instead. Does it happen all the time? How long does it take to happen? What diagnosis or debug has been done? Here's another bad example captured from a TI-E2E forum. We are not able to load U-boot. Help. I understand it is urgent because it is all in capital. But we are unable to immediately help because the post literally didn't say anything other than need help. So the only response we could provide is, please explain the problem. We just said, if an issue is on a Linux system, please provide a log. But should I copy and paste the log or attach the log? If the log which is pasted is very long, it affects reading the information below the log. We have to flip the page too many times. On the other side, attaching a log has its own drawback. You have to save it and then open it to read. So the recommendation is, for short log, use copy and paste. For long log, copy and paste the highlights, then attach the full log. But the question is, how long is long? Well, it is a relative thing. Everyone has his own comfort zone, so maybe 500 lines. Just don't let the reader to press the page down key too many times. Please remember, to really understand the issue, the reader might have to read your post many times, back and forth. So pressing the keyboard too many times just for skipping the log is really not fun. This recommendation is applicable to both posting on TI-E2E forums or sending emails. Should I compress the log before attaching it? Well, to save space and then transfer time, it's better to compress it if the log is very big. But if it's just a few hundred lines, please don't bother with it, because the reader has to decompress it before reading it. Sometimes you may have to provide a code change when reporting a problem. Some people like to post the whole file they touched. It is not efficient. The problem is that it is hard for the readers to figure out what you have changed. So it is better to use the diff or patch format to just show the changes you did. You might already know that software developers always use patches in their communication. Let's look at the example here. The left side is a post on the TI E2E forum. It is a portion of the code in a device tree file. At a glance, I'm unable to tell if there's any change or not. It took me some effort to figure out that the change is as shown on the right side, just one line, which changed the USB 0 port mode. This was not just a few minutes work for me. First, I have to copy and paste the code from the post to a file. Then I have to format it to correct the indentations. You can see all the indentations are lost in the post. Finally, I have to figure out which file to compare to. So for efficient communication, please provide patches if you change the kernel code. Please pay attention to text formatting and indentation when posting logs or patches. If you just simply copy and paste the information to the forum post editor, all the indentation will be lost. So please use pre or code HTML tag to preserve the indentations. Please also consider to use fixed width style fonts when posting a patch. For example, Curia New is a popular one. It is available almost on every system. The reason is that most software developers, if not all, use fixed width fonts when reading code. They already get used to it. It is much faster in reading than using a proportional font. When sending emails, please compose your email in plain text format, especially when you paste logs or patches in the email. Because the readers might have to read the log or patch in a Linux tool such as Vim, the HTML tag in non-plain text emails are very annoying in those Linux tools. Just for your information, most Linux community mailing lists only accept plain text emails. Any HTML emails will be automatically rejected. This is an example about the bad indentation, which is also captured from the TI E2E forums. A customer reported a kernel oops problem. I asked the customer to use GDB to find the error location in the kernel source code. And here on the left side is the GDB output. You can see all the code indentations are lost, so it's hard to read. On the right side is the original code. Okay, we recommended to use pre or code HTML tag to preserve the indentation. But how to use it when posting on TI E2E forums? Please see the screenshot here. When compositing your post, click the HTML icon on the top right corner of the editor. It switches to the HTML source editor. Then you can copy and paste the code, then wrap it with the pre or code tag as shown in this screenshot. Very often, when people want to post a board console log on TI E2E forums, they just captured the console output into a JPEG screenshot or took a picture using their cell phone or camera. Some people did put the console log in a file, but in a Microsoft Word format instead of using a plain text format. Neither of them is good. We cannot search text in a picture, or we cannot use any text processing tool such as grep, awk, or seed to process a Microsoft Word file. So please capture the board console log into a plain text format. To do that in Minicom, you just press Ctrl-A, then L, then type in the file name you want. To do that in TerraTerm, you select menu File, then Log, then type in the file name you want. This is another bad example from TI E2E forums, which posts a screenshot of a kernel patch. We cannot do anything with it other than just read it. We cannot apply it and then test it. To summarize this video, when posting on TI E2E forums, please be informative and specific in the initial issue report. No pictures or screenshot for text information or logs. Whenever possible, please use plain text format only, which make it easier to use Linux text processing tools. Please let's work together to solve the issues quickly and efficiently. This is all for this video, and here's some links for more information. If you have any questions, please let us know, and thanks for watching.